Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Well, the Ravel sesquicentennial is off to a start, and oh boy, at first horror show, actually, the first really wretched recording of the sesquicentennial has to be this. The two piano concertos featuring, let's see, yes, Seong-Jin Cho with the Boston Symphony and Andris Nelson's. Actually, the orchestra sounds fabulous, and Nelson's is just fine. So that's not an issue. The issue is all Mr. Cho. These are two of the most puerile performances. Oh, I've always wanted to use that word. I've been waiting for a performance of something that would do it justice. And these do. Puerility, puerile, that's what they are. Oh my goodness, just awful in every respect. I mean, from a pianistic point of view, let's take it step by step, shall we? And we can see exactly what goes wrong. Well, first of all, let's put it this way. I don't know how old this guy is, but he's young. He's way too young to do this music. I'm sorry. He just is, based on the evidence here. I mean, he has absolutely no ideas as to how the music should go other than such that occur note by note. It's like, let's see, I have this note. Should I make this one louder? Or maybe I should bring out this subsidiary line, or I should accent that. But none of it has to do with Ravel. I mean, really, nothing to do with Ravel. Like I said, let's go in order. So we begin with the G major concerto, right? Okay, it's marked allegramente. Now, allegramente, I happen to have my little score here, so we can actually, point to some things here. Allegramente is the adverbial form of allegro. Allegro means lively. We know this, lively, right? Happy, lively. Allegramente means lively. It's just the adverbial form. So there are actually only two tempo areas in the entire huge opening paragraph of this movement, which is in straight sonata form. It's really very simple. It was Ravel's tribute to what he thought was Mozart. It worked. So you have allegramente, and then you have with the metronome mark, by the way. I mean, I don't really pay much attention to those because nobody else does, so I don't worry about it. And then the only other tempo marking for this whole opening paragraph, I mean, the whole sucker, is at letter number 4, right there. There you go. You can see it yourself. There it is. It's meno vivo. So what does that mean? That means less quick. And then we go back to tempo 1. That's basically the whole movement. 2 little tempo areas. Well, Mr. Cho here, he's decided that every note is its own tempo area in the second subject. In the quick music, we don't have a problem because he has no choices. Particularly, you're just keeping up, you just got lots of notes to get out in a short period of time. But when we get to that second subject, oh my God, meno vivo just means less quick. There's no additional metronome marking there. So you get to choose how less quick, but it does not mean adagio, which is what we get here. I mean, he stops the music dead in its tracks, and he just starts to meander through it in a distractedly daydreamy sort of way. It's horrible. And I did some serious comparative listening before I decided that these were as bad as I think they are. I mean, I listened to Michelangelo, I listened to Argerich, I listened to Alicia de la Rocha, I listened to Zoltan Kocis, I listened to, who else? I mean, there's just a whole slew of them that I tried. Lots of pianists slow down in that section. Some of them slow down considerably. My reference recording, which is Samson Francois, is that the one I didn't mention? Well, whatever, it's Samson Francois, barely slows down at all because it's a feeling. It's not a tempo difference per se that's like really exaggeratedly obvious. because the music has to move. It has to keep going. There's a long line that you need to preserve that he doesn't seem to be able to find or care about. I mean, it is absolutely note by note. It's horrible. And it's really funny how whenever the orchestra comes in and he's not playing, they sound so relieved. The impression you get. I'm not sure. I don't know whether Nelson's felt that way, or the orchestra, of course, doesn't have a corporate feeling in that sense. But the impression you get is that the pianist is getting in the way of the music. And the orchestra just wants to breathe, and they just want to move it. So the end of the movement is absolutely stunning because he's not playing. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I mean, the pianist as the antagonist. I mean, of course, that's possible in a concerto format because you've got the soloist versus the orchestra, but I don't think that's quite what Ravel had in mind here. So the second movement. Now, the second movement, that it's marked very slow, adagio assai. However, the adagio assai does not apply to the accompaniment. It applies to the tune. And that tune is going to be slow. The accompaniment is quicker. Dum, bum, bum, one, dun, dun. Then the tune comes in. Simple notes. They have to be bound together, legato. There has to be an overarching shape to the theme. You can't just poke one note at a time. This performance dies in the first bar. Absolutely deader than dead. I mean, it is a corpsicle. It's dead, and he's just so slow, and he has no idea how to shape the melody. I mean, the melody. I mean, it has a shape. It's pretty obvious. You know. You go somewhere with it. And how you poke at each individual note should have something to do with the one that comes before and the one that's coming after and where it's going. Again, if you compare to all of those other performances, you see those pianists get it. They really get it. I mean, you want to take a daringly slow tempo? Okay, take a daringly slow tempo. But you've got to play the tunes. You got to know what you're doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no clue what he's doing. It's terrible, absolutely. It's endless. It lasts forever. It really does. It's a torture. Oh, look, this has a thing in it, a little wonderful Deutsche Grammophon promotional hoogie googie. Let me just see something here. It doesn't. It's funny. 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Most performances of this last 9 minutes and something. So he's not so far from, everybody else who does it. But the impression it gives is of such heaviness and lethargy. It's a sleep. Now, the finale goes fine. I mean, it's a toccata, and it's just roaring away, and he doesn't have any time to think. And the less he thinks, the better off we are. I mean, that's for damn sure. And so, the finale is exciting, and the orchestra sounds marvelous, and they all sound relieved to get it over with. Then we have the concerto for the left hand. Now, the piano concerto for the left hand offers far less opportunity to futz around with the music, because first of all, it's so difficult, and you've got to keep it going with your hands jumping out. Even when the music is slow, you're doing a lot because it's all with one hand, trying to sound like two hands. So it's a better performance on the whole. But still, whenever he has to do solo things, the same strictures as we previously mentioned apply. The same volume of puerility is in evidence. The orchestra sounds terrific. It's all fine. And that central episode, it's wonderful what happens in that central episode because it's a march. That's all it's doing. And it does that for a long time. And he can't mess with it because he's in 4/4 march tempo. Right? You really can't screw with it that much. And so he doesn't. I mean, that's fine. He seems like rather happy to actually cede responsibility for, rhythm to somebody else. But still, still there are moments where you wonder, why isn't he shaping a melody? Why isn't he emphasizing certain lyrical high points? Why, technique is there. He's got technique to burn. So it's a better performance on the whole than the G major, but it's still absolutely nothing special. And then, the amazing thing about this is, well, one of the most interesting things about this, let's put it that way, is that this is all you get on the disc. Now, I know that's the joke about the elderly couple that's just come home from their, early bird special, and the husband says to the wife, how was your food? And she says, ugh, it was terrible. And she says, how was yours? And he says, it was disgusting. And such small portions. Yes, because I can't remember a recording of these two concerti that only has these two concerti on it. It's like a 41-minute CD or something, 40 minutes. Obviously, it was created for the purpose of digital downloads, where you can just do bits of things. It's not a physical product of any desirability whatsoever. All of them either include another concerto, which is longer, like you have the G major, which is the longer of the two, and then something else like Prokofiev or Rachmaninoff with like Argerich and Michelangeli, or you get the two Ravel concerti plus something else, the Debussy Fantasy, some other exciting thing going on to fill up the CD. They've made no effort to do that here at all, which shows you that this is not a serious project either from Deutsche Grammophone's point of view. It's equally puerile. So, yes, that's what it is. It's a big, huge fail in every respect, aside from the orchestra and the conductor, who really do a fine job. I mean, Boston should be able to play this in their sleep. Fabulous French orchestra that they still are, in spite of everything that's happened to them over the years. But my gosh, this is really, really bad. And he needs to be told now. He does, because he's a very, very talented pianist, and he can do better. But he needs to use the brain and the heart and the fingers and express Ravel, not just Cho's vision of what I can do from one note to the next. There has to be specificity in the interpretation and some sort of relationship of affection or affinity between the soloist and the composer being played. And here there is Zippo. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.